All right, it's Dr. William Painter with Journey Road Ministries. I'm back. I got strings on my guitar, and I'm going to sing this song as part of the song and sermon part. This is the song part, and it's a song by Anais Mitchell. And first I saw this was some recording in 2006. It was just her and her guitar on her farm. I think it was called One Take or something, and I was just really struck with it. I just thought it was wonderful, and she kept working on it, and it blew up. Well, it didn't blow up. It evolved gradually over time into an off-Broadway opera called Hadestown. And I recommend you see it, and that you see her, and that you enjoy this music that I'm introducing you to. I'm a little more than a bad karaoke singer. But anyway, this song I think is relevant. And it's relevant to us, and it's relevant to what we have to talk about today. It's called Why We Build the Wall. This was done before Trump, and yet somehow it has relevance. Children, why do we build the wall? Why do we build the wall? We build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. We build the wall to keep us free. How does a wall keep us free? My children, how does a wall keep us free? How does the wall keep us free? The wall keeps out the enemy, and we build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. We build the wall to keep us free. Who do we call the enemy? My children, who do we call the enemy? Who do we call the enemy? The enemy is poverty, and the wall keeps out the enemy, and we build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. We build the wall to keep us free. Because we have and they have not. My children, because they want what we have got. Because we have and they have not, because they want what we have got. The enemy is poverty, and the wall keeps out the enemy, and we build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. We build the wall to keep us free. What do we have that they should want? My children, what do we have that they should want? What do we have that they should want? But we have a wall to work upon, and we have work and they have none, and our work is never done. My children, and the war is never won. The enemy is poverty, and the wall keeps out the enemy, and we build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. We build the wall to keep us free. We build the wall to keep us free. I can live with that one. All right, see you on the flip side. Probably without all the flamingos. Good morning, good evening. This is Dr. William Painter for Journey Road Ministries. I'm here to give a sermon or a talk about our readings this week. This is, let me get the right terminology, Proper 7 for July 30th, 2023. And our gospel reading comes from Matthew 13,
chapters 31 to 33 and 44 to 52. He put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of the seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that all the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. He then told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. When it was full, they drew it ashore, sat down, and put the good into baskets, but threw out the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the furnaces of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all this? They answered, yes. And he said to them, Therefore every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the master of a household, who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old. Thus endeth the gospel. Well, this is like the parable jam-packed gospel reading. I mean, it's just one parable after another, one metaphor after another, and Jesus is trying to explain to people what the kingdom of heaven is like. And the kingdom of heaven, and let's just, take a little look at this. The kingdom of heaven is like mustard seed. Yes, we've seen the mustard seed metaphor before, something very tiny, and it grows into a shrub, and the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. Well, his audience would have understood that birds of the air would have been oppressed peoples. So, the kingdom of heaven is a tree where oppressed peoples can come and make their homes. And it's like yeast that a woman took. So first we've got a mustard seed, which is a fairly common thing, and now we've got yeast, which is another common element, that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. So yeast is this little thing that causes bread to rise, and it's everywhere. It becomes everywhere. And then it's like a treasure hidden in a field which someone found and hid. And then he sells everything he's got and he buys that field, because the treasure in the field is greater, worth more than everything this person owns. And the pearls, once again, this is a merchant who has pearls, and he finds a great one, so he sold all that he had and bought the one pearl. Or it's like a net that's thrown into the sea. This is where it shifts a little bit. And they catch fish of every kind. In other words, the kingdom of heaven is not limited to one kind of fish or another kind of fish or one kind of person or one kind of thing. It is open to everyone, to everything. It is a huge net. And they draw it ashore and they set down, and the good went into baskets and threw out the bad. And here we get into the angels will come and separate the evil and the righteous. This doesn't say, well, you prophets, you followers will separate the evil from the righteous. The angels will do that. So you don't get to do that. And then I love the weeping and gnashing of teeth. On the one hand, everything's great, and on the other hand, it's a weeping and gnashing of teeth. And then he asked them if they understood it, and they answered yes. And his response is that every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the master of a household who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old. Well, when I opened this up with the song Build the Wall, I did so because I had been reading about the Texas governor who put razor wire and buoys across the Rio Grande River, in the middle of the Rio Grande River, and that the people were pushing, children were drowning. They're pushing them back into the river, keeping them out. And it was reminding me of this Anais Mitchell song, Why We Build the Wall. Well, I came across this song some years ago. I think she first recorded it and published it in 2010. So well before the emergence of the likes of Trump and his followers. And you recall when Trump was saying build the wall, I kept thinking, this is like that song that Anais Mitchell got. And she received an award once, and I love the way they portray the award. This was in 2018. NPR ranked this as the number 45 greatest song by a female or non-binary artist. And they said this, quote, they say certain songwriters are given 5 perfect songs from God or whatever spiritual force you follow. Why We Build the Wall is one of folk singer Anais Mitchell's God songs. And I'd have to, when I heard this song, I was like, this is it. Why do we build the wall? And it's kind of, it's circular, it's the idea. The broader context is this is an opera called Hadestown, and this is the call and response of Orpheus. Well, it's the myth of Orpheus. All right, it's the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, and the call and response between the devil, Hades, and the people who live in hell, in Hadestown. And I know that when you listen to me singing, if you suffered through all of it, you would notice that it is a call and response. So why do we build the wall? Well, we build the wall to keep us free. And how does the wall keep us free? Well, it keeps out the enemy. Well, who's the enemy? Well, the enemy is poverty. And the wall keeps out the poverty. And the people, because we have and they have not, because they want what we have got, because we have and they have not, the enemy is poverty. And the wall keeps out the enemy. And we build the wall to keep us free. And what do we have that they should want? Well, we have a wall to build. And this is the perfect Orwellian concept of we build the wall to keep us free. The wall is actually to keep people in. It's not necessarily to keep people out. When I see Abbott put that wall up, I am struck by the fact that this wall that he's putting up keeps people in as much or more than keeping people out. And at the end of the day, when I read Matthew, and I've read commentaries on Matthew, about all these interpretations of all the parables, which is one of the reasons the Bible is such a rich source for human beings of all walks of life. I mean, it can speak to someone who only understands parables, and it can speak to people who have graduate degrees in interpreting parables. And the upshot of this passage is that Jesus is trying to describe what heaven is. Well, it's a tree. It welcomes birds of all kinds. It is common. You've got a merchant, you've got a woman, you got a fisherman. These are common. You don't see any scholars in this, except at the very end. He talks about scribes of the kingdom. People who write about the kingdom. But he describes everybody else, these common walks of life people, and the single message that comes through is that it is the most valuable thing, and it is open to everyone. And when I read it, and when others have read it as well, they say, well, when, O Lord, will this kingdom come? Because we look at so much evil in the world. We look at the likes of Abbott in Texas. We look at DeSantis in the governor of Florida, who says, well, it's okay to teach that slavery had some upside, for the slaves. And, I'm a historian, and I taught about slavery. I was one of my fields was, colonial America, and part of history of colonial America is slavery. And it wasn't nice, and it wasn't fun, and it wasn't fruitful. It wasn't supposed to teach them skills. They raped them and murdered them and beat them and sold them. I had records from slave auctions held in Missouri, and they were going to be. These were kind of worn out human beings. And they were being auctioned off because nobody wanted them anymore. The original owner worked them to death. And so they were being sold to the lead mines in Carthage. And this was the death sentence for these people. And it described them, their age, and the clothes they wore. That was part of what you were buying, like the bridle on a horse or a saddle on a horse or something. They were described as nothing more than livestock. And I read another one describing selling young girls who were just budding out, which meant that they were being sold for being victimized by their masters. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible institution, and this country fought a war over it. And the idea that anybody could defend or try to defend or a right to defend the existence of slavery is just completely wrong. And so for me, I sit and I go, wow, when's that kingdom of heaven coming? Because these are really evil people. Someone like Abbott, who thinks it's okay to throw kids into the Rio Grande River. These people they travel hundreds, thousands of miles for hope. And this passage that we read about, this passage is all about hope. It's about hope that the kingdom of heaven will arrive. And what does it look like? And what will it be like? And how can we be there? And it's not about building a wall, and it's not about keeping people out, and it's not about celebrating, why we build the wall, and it's certainly not about poverty. It's really kind of about sell everything you've got. This is more valuable than anything you've got. Well, we don't know when that day will come, and it won't come until we make it come. I've sort of become a believer in the idea that we're not going to wait for the kingdom of heaven. We just kind of really need to make it. And so I sing songs that I think might reach you, and I discuss why I think we would all be a lot better off if we worked harder to bring this kingdom of heaven to us. And I look around, and I'm not trying to be political. I just, when someone says put razor wire up and push children into the water to the point that they drown, that's not a political statement for me. That's an inhumane, unchristian statement to make. So we don't build walls. Christians don't build walls. Christians build long tables, and we welcome everyone. We should welcome everyone, whether you're gay, whether you're trans, whether you're black, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're an academic, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you're a young child. All of these people are children of God. They're all the birds. They're all the fish. And nowhere in that description of what heaven is like is there anything that references how humans get to judge other humans as to whether or not they get in. And I think that's one of the reasons that some of the evangelical churches have become so popular, is because it takes the power out of God's hands and puts it in ours, so that we can be judges. We can say you did bad, or you don't belong here, or you can't come here. We judge. And it's not ours to judge. If you want to know what the kingdom of heaven is like, bury your head in this passage. And I think that you'll come up with fish in your teeth and birds in your hair, and possibly a different perspective on the world. Well, that's it for me this week. I told you I'd lose flamingos. Instead, I'm wearing a batik from Bali. I hope you enjoyed the song. I hope you listened to Anais Mitchell play it. And God bless you this whole next 3 weeks. Cheers.